Hello everyone, this is my reaction video to yesterday's ISC finding the Polaris, North Star, finding the North Star.
The Polaris came out in, I think, 2017.
Pause, I had to check. No, it was October 2016, so more than 6 years ago.
The interior just didn't fit. We couldn't get the size, the scale, or the metrics for how we would want it to appear to actually fit inside the frame that we had.
We've really now locked in how we want the interior layout, what the impact of the exterior means, but it's still the same Polaris that everyone originally saw and fell in love with. It just means that now it's kind of fit for purpose, whereas with the initial concepting phase and initial layout, it wasn't quite where we needed it to be.
The exterior remains pretty much the same, beyond it has got larger to accommodate some of the interior changes. The roll is the same, the key visuals are the same. You may notice, again, some like panel line changes or turret updates. But fundamentally, you look at the Polaris now versus then, it's almost indistinguishable aside from that scale change, and the roll remains identical to what it was before.
Moving on the inside, however, we have a completely different story. Although there wasn't much seen for what the inside was going to look like, we had to remove a lot of that and just start again. We fit the entirety of the interior inside of it while taking into account the change in component sizes.
Where we went from size 0 all the way up to size 10, whereas now we've got much more kind of distinct categorization of our components.
We've now got a capital shield generator, capital power plant, capital cooler, all to support.
Pause, this was known for quite a while. Instead of 2 size 3 shields, she has now 1 size 4 shield, a capital sized shield.
You start from the bridge, which has been opened up a bit to give you a bit more space and visibility. Behind that, we then have the escape pod section, where there's escape pods for all the crew to be able to quickly evacuate the ship. Moving behind that, we then have the captain's quarters and office, as well as the CO's office. Behind that again, we then have the armory. Moving further back, we have the crew bunk room and baths and showers.
Pause. I really wish CRT would hire an architect or at least consult one. Those doors, those shapes make 0 sense. You could make it much wider at the base without losing any space, any room. But no, we have those cool asymmetrical doors because Chris loves this.
Across from that, we then have the rec area. So it's where the food is, it's where the relaxation is for the actual crew of the ship. Moving back further, we then come towards the center of the ship, where the actual hangar of the Polaris is. And that's had a bit of a size increase, so it's very comfortable to fit things like a saber in it now. On the left and right hand side, on one side you have the medical facilities. On the other you have the holding cells for any prisoners or wrongdoers that you might get hold of. And then moving back, you then have the entrance of where engineering is, which spans about 2 decks. A small section of it is at the rear, which houses some of the more standard components. Then the lower deck of engineering holds the large capital components for the Polaris. Moving back forward then, from the rear, we then have the cargo hold. Moving forward from the cargo area, we then have the torpedo room, which has all of the torpedoes stored and an operations station if anyone needs to maintain any work down there.
So the Polaris is concept complete. We're pretty happy with the updates to it internally and hope you are as well. And now we are just at the point of scheduling when we can jump it into production. It's naturally a large ship, slightly larger than it was. So it's not going to be a quick endeavor, but we think it's going to be a pretty fruitful one by the end of it.
I'm a bit surprised that CRT is not talking about Polaris 6 years after concept, still not in the game. Maybe it was because of the recent Galaxy sale. Many people were upset about the big backlog and how many years it will take until we get all the ships that we have in concept right now. I heard numbers of 20 to 30 years. Still, don't get your hopes up. I don't expect Polaris in the game in the next 3 years. This was my reaction video to yesterday's ISC. I hope you found it interesting and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter. My Twitter account is Camural_SC.